With so much history, amazing cities, and a very unique culture, China has so many things to offer. We feel incredibly fortunate that we can say it was our home for 2 years. This is Katie from Creative Travel Guide, and today we are sharing the things to know before you go to China. Looking for more travel tips? Make sure to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. So firstly, you need to know about visas. So if you are visiting China, you will need to have a visa before arriving in the country. Now, depending on where you are in the world, most people will be able to apply online or via post to your nearest Chinese embassy or consulate. However, unlike other destinations in Asia, you can't get a visa on arrival, and it is a lot easier to get a visa in your home country. So if you plan on doing a trip around Asia, get your Chinese visa before leaving your home. And on a similar note, our next tip is to plan your trip in advance. Unlike other destinations in Asia, it is much easier to book everything in advance before traveling China. That includes accommodation and transport. When you are applying for your visa, you will need to know specifically this information for where you are going to be and where you are going to stay in order to apply. So plan and book flights and hotels in advance, even just provisionally. And our next tip is to make sure to get travel insurance. So insurance is not mandatory in China, but is definitely recommended. There is a tendency of flights being delayed in and out of China, and with the new spices and temperatures, you may be needing a visit to the doctors. Whenever we travel, we use World Nomads for our travels, and we will leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. It covers many destinations and multi-trips, and you can save a lot of money by getting a year insurance plan. So the next tip is the language. So it is a great idea to just learn some basic Chinese, but also download a translator app. So in China, the locals speak Mandarin, and it isn't uncommon to struggle to find someone who can speak English. So try your best to learn some basic language, even if it's just hello and thank you, ni hao and xie xie, and download some essential translator apps before arriving. But remember, Google Translate will not work unless you have a VPN. Which leads us on to our next tip, a VPN. Whilst in China, you won't be able to access certain websites like social media or Google. The only way of doing this is by downloading a VPN before you arrive in China and connecting to this when you want to use these apps. So whilst living in China, we always use ExpressVPN because we just found it more reliable, and you can pay for a year or month, and it can be used on multiple devices as well. Again, we will leave the link for that in the description below, but try to make sure to download your VPN before arriving because it can be hard to do it once you are in the country. So now let's talk about traveling around China. So the easiest way to travel around China is by high-speed train. You can book tickets in advance on the Ctrip app, or you can purchase tickets as you arrive at the train station, but these routes are affordable and quick. However, when you are planning your trip, check how easy your destinations are to get to. Trains to and from Beijing, Xi'an, Shanghai, Chengdu, Guilin and Hangzhou are pretty common, but some destinations are a little hard to plan a route to. Plus, places like Hong Kong and Guangzhou are a lot further from Beijing as you may think, so it may be worth getting a flight when travelling from one side of the country to another. Which leads us on to when to visit. So when to visit China is a very important decision to make because there are a few factors to include. Firstly, the weather. So Shanghai and anywhere south of Shanghai can be visited from March through to November, and you will experience warm weather. It can be a little hot in August and September, but there is plenty of air conditioning for you to enjoy too. If you plan on visiting the north of China, try to stick to the spring and summer months. These areas are very cold during the winter and can also be polluted during these colder times too. And another thing to factor in when planning your trip is to avoid Chinese holidays. So the major holidays are Chinese New Year, which falls around the end of January and during February, and Golden Week, which is usually at the start of October. There are also some national holidays in April, so just make sure that you check all of these before you book any trip. And next, let's look at what to pack. So China offers more and more Western products, but there are a few things that you will need to remember to pack. Firstly, a pollution mask is a must if you are visiting the north for extended periods of time. Deodorant is also harder to find in China, and it is always worth packing a lightweight rain jacket for those rainy days down south. And moving on to the food. So in China, do not expect the same Chinese dishes that you have tried in the West. The food is just as good, if not better, but make sure to experiment with the unique flavours available. Expect different types of fungi, bitter melon, exotic sea animals, bok choy, and massively contrasting spices and flavours. You might recognise the names of certain dishes in China, but 9 times out of 10 it will not taste anything like what you have tried before. And our last tip is to stay safe. So China is an incredibly safe place to visit. Pickpocketing and theft is rare, and whilst we lived in China, we found many locals would leave their personal items on coffee tables as they popped to the bathroom or even out of the shop to a nearby store. As for health, make sure to stick to bottled water as the tap water isn't safe to drink, and stick to public transport or using Didi taxis rather than trying and driving a rental car or motorbike. So we hope you have an incredible time in China. Let us know where you are heading to in the comments below. Also make sure to head over to Creative Travel Guide. We have a load of China travel content and China travel guides over there. We will leave some helpful links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, stay creative.